Welcome back to another episode of the podcast, From the Depths of Darkness to the Light of Success. I am your host, Chris Swick, and on this podcast, we talk about mental health, addictions, eating disorders, ADHD, really anything anyone's afraid to talk about. We're here to talk about it on the show, to share one another's stories and help the next person that may be suffering in line here. But with no further ado, before we get started here, please head over to my YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, turn on the notifications. And again, I believe everyone's story is valuable at the end of the day. It does not matter what walk of life you come from. You're all welcome on this platform of mine. And head over to my Instagram page at Depths of Darkside if you want to get insights. I share great mental health tips, great recovery tips, and just have fun over there as well as share stuff from the show. Big, huge guest to me. We've been chatting back and forth on Instagram the last few months. But I got Beau Payne. You want to take it away and let them know a little bit about you, Beau?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Chris, first and foremost for having me on, man. I've been looking forward to it. I enjoy what you post on Instagram and social media. It's always very positive and uplifting, doing a ton of good for this community we're involved in, mental health, addiction, alcoholism, recovery, etc. So my name is Beau Payne. I live in Boise, Idaho, so you got a Yank on your show. I'm sure you've had a few. But I did spend a lot of years in Vancouver, British Columbia, and I think about a year in Toronto too as a kid. And my sobriety date is December 3rd, 2016. So my next sober date, God willing, will be 6 years. Spent a lot of time in jails and penitentiaries, about 10 years behind bars over my life due to that poison and bad mistakes and poor decision making, things like that. Chris, I was a Major League Baseball draft pick as a kid. I was drafted by the Florida Marlins, offered a contract by the Milwaukee Brewers. I was a big national prospect back in the day, and drugs, alcohol, surgeries, and a lot of poor mental health kind of shot that down the drain and just went from there, kicking the can, trying to figure out what I could do the next 20 years. Like I said, in and out of jails and prisons, a lot of homeless shelters, some success mixed in, and a lot of treatment facilities. And it's been, since I've been sober, I decided to make the decision to get sober. It's been absolutely the best 6 years of my life, man. So just happy to share what I can share. My main goal when I talk to folks like you is just experience, strength, and hope. To show people that it doesn't matter how far down the scale you've gone, man, there is a way out, and redemption's possible. Yeah, I'm happy to be here. That's just a little bit about it.
And for the younger generation and stuff like that, what was it like going into prison that first time for you?
And this is a good question for definitely for the younger generation. Because a lot of those kids, 19, 20, 21, when they get out there, they have friends out there. They just jump right into that drug culture out there. And you can get anything you want behind bars in the penitentiary, whether it's heroin, methamphetamine, fentanyl, pills, even prostitution. The nurses, the correctional officers, a lot of them are on the take of this and that. So they need to know that when they get out there to the penitentiary, they're going to be approached by gang members right away. And they're going to be asked, or not asked, they're basically going to be told or blackmailed into, you do this for us and you do that for us. And they make these kids feel like we're your family. And they take them in and they give them support. And if a kid comes in the gym with no money, has nothing, they'll set them up with a nice pair of tennis shoes or sweatpants, or they'll get them on the card table. But eventually they'll get them hooked on drugs. And the deal is that once they get these guys hooked on drugs, then they've got their hooks into them. And these kids will do anything they want for these gang members. A lot of these guys are high-end gang members too, doing 15, 20, 25 years to life, and they have nothing to lose. And so they've got these guys tethered to them, so whatever they say goes. So from my experience, Chris, the first time that I'd been to jail several years on and off, 4 months here, 8 months there, 6 months here, 30 days here. And finally, the judge just got sick of me. Dude, you have 7 DUIs, and you have 4 in the state of Idaho. And so that's, he's like, you're a danger to society. You drunk all the time. And I did drive drunk every time I drank. I just didn't get caught every time, but I got caught plenty of times. So he sent me out. He sentenced me to 10 years in the penitentiary. And I ended up doing a couple of those years the first time I went out. But to answer your question, not to be long-winded, you roll up there, man, and you're nervous because you've done jail time. So you understand in the United States, we have county jails for each, municipality or county. And then we have the joint. the big penitentiary. And usually every state, Chris, has several penitentiaries from minimum, medium to maximum level. And everybody rolls up to the same for the first month or so. It's called RDU, Receiving and Diagnostics. And when they sort you out, they do your medical, your all this stuff. They look at the severity of your crime, and then they decide what penitentiary they're going to send you to throughout the state. And each penitentiary has generally 4,000 guys in it. And so when I rolled up, man, you see the guard towers, you see the guys, you see the correctional officers with the rifles, you see the big, giant prison walls, concrete walls with razor wire on top of them, and things just got real. Shit gets real quick. And that kind of bravado you had in county jail and tough guy stuff that you think you are, that turns to nervousness real quick. And you better get your stuff together, and you better learn how to do time real quick, or that's going to get you, man. As I went a couple more times, I got used to it, and that was my problem the second time I went out there, is that I knew all the quote-unquote fellas, they call them one. Everything's racially divided out there. Most guys out there don't have racial intentions, but it's just the way the system is run. So you hook up with the white boys, and the black guys hang out with the black guys, or different factions of Hispanic gangs and stuff like that. You find your clique and you find your routine, but it's very intimidating. But either cower and shrink, or you stand up for yourself and learn how to do time. And eventually, Chris, I got sober in prison. Third time I went, because I just got so sick and tired of the culture of it in there. And I said, you know what, there's other like-minded guys in here. And I'm just going to start working my program and helping other guys and sharing what I can share with folks. And by the time I got out, man, I'd had a little bit of sober time on my belt, and I hit the streets and just hit a meeting that day and didn't look back. It's been about 6 years now.
That's amazing, man. And I love that you say that too for the younger generation, because it's not like it used to be. Even up here in Canada, all these the crimes are getting younger, and they're doing it for what? For nothing, man. There's so many people that I know that have been in and out of the gang systems and the gangs and prisons and stuff like that, but it's not like it used to be. Let's go shake hands and call it a day. It's like turf wars and so many different things now and so many different avenues. And the stuff's got to bloody stop at the end of the day, man. But if you keep putting these guns in these kids' hands, it's never going to stop.
It's just brutal, and it's a big debate down here in the U.S. as far as gun control, and versus non-gun control. And I don't really want to get into that because it's really nuanced, and there's too much nuance to it. And I don't think we have enough time to get into that. But you're right, the culture of violence that is pervasive. I know in Canada too. When I was a kid, I lived in BC, Chris, from age 5 till we were the generation that we hung around after school, and we were some, I don't want to say we got in trouble and this and that, but we're kids, and you got to stick our fists up, man. We would pull out knives and guns and all this stuff, and
those days are done. I feel
those days are long gone. You wouldn't believe the stuff in there. Guys, it's just intense. You have to. It's all about respect, because if you don't respect someone, you might be finding yourself getting stabbed up in the bathroom, man. It's just, it's insane. And then you have these in the United States, which I'm really passionate about, is prison reform, is that they hand out these mandatory minimum sentences. And I'm not sure how it is in Canada. I've never really been in the judicial system, messed up or, caught up in Canada. I've been to jail a couple times, just for a couple days here and there. One time before a Dodgers tryout, actually. But in the U.S., for instance, a possession of a simple, I don't want to say simple, but simple possession of methamphetamine is a 7-year prison sentence. Now, you don't have to do all of that 7 years right off the bat. Generally, you're looking at 2-3 years right there for having, under a gram of methamphetamine. And Chris, I'm not advocating.
No, I get it. It's a little different up here, which is, it's crazy. Those mandatory minimums down in the States are not like up here. Like, I know up here, people that work in the harm reduction system, and if there's an overdose, like I know down in the States, if you have it on you and you've overdosed, they want to charge you right away. Up here, there's like a law in Canada that they cannot charge you, basically, if you have overdosed and you have something on you. They want to help you.
Yeah, I love both countries. I am a U.S. citizen, but like I said, I was raised basically from age 5 to 15, and in BC. And as much as I do love both countries, there's things I love about America, but there's things I love about Canada too. And I want to say lenient, but I don't want to mistake the word lenient for weak. I think lenient is smart care. I think being lenient with people, especially first, second time offenders, if someone keeps repeating and repeating, okay, like myself, okay, you become a danger to society, man. We got to lock you up. We got to throw you away for a few years and get your stuff together. But I really admire that about the Canadian system as far as compassion, treatment, rehabilitative services. If you OD, there's something alcoholics and spiritualists sick, man. I don't look at them as bad people. We have a disease, and let's do all we can to help them figure out how we improve their mental health, how we can get them clean and sober, how we can make them stay, clean and sober, instead of, oh, you're overdosing here and flopping around on the pavement and almost dying while you just got Narcan. But after we bring you back to life, we're going to send you to jail and maybe on to prison. Like, what does that do? It just ruins his or her life. Excuse me. And then it ruins his mom and dad's, his sisters, his brothers, his children's. It's such a widespread, it has widespread tentacles to everything that doesn't have to, like I said, off the first or second, third time, send these guys and gals to prison, to rehab or to treatment. Don't just throw them away and lock up the key. My last sentence, Chris, because I've unfortunately been convicted of 3 felonies in the U.S. and drinking and driving and alcohol-related stuff. The first sentence out of the gate from the prosecutor was 5 years to life. So they offered me a life sentence. And I would have had to do a minimum of 5 years. And in the U.S., that would have turned into probably 8 or 9 years before I could have got parole. And I said, you're out of your, minds. And I fought it down. So I pled it down to 3 years plus 7. So mandatory 3 for a 10-year sentence. But it just, you throw away people for these just incredibly ridiculous lengths of time. What's the use, man? They just become super criminals for one. The joint is like a place where you can either, like I did my last time, is I found my way to become a better man and to help and to start helping other people, and thus kept me accountable. But the majority come in and then they just come out worse than they came in because there's just so much of everything. It's just the most giant criminal enterprise I've ever seen, the United States penitentiary system. And I'm sure a lot of that is the same in Canada. I've got a few friends who have done prison time in Canada as well. And so, yeah.
And I can speak for some of my own friends, and then same thing, especially I have a cousin who's been institutionalized since he was 18 years old. He got an 8-year sentence. So he doesn't know anything but the prison system as an adult. Do you know what I mean? And he's still not out on parole yet. Talking to my cousin, and she's the other week, and he's been, I don't know if he's ever going to change though. He's institutionalized at this point. He's really changed a lot in the 6 years he's been there now.
It's crazy. And you say 18 years old, it just breaks my heart because nobody's brain is even close to being fully developed at 18 years old, for one. And then 18-year-olds are the most, how do I say this? They're impressed upon really easily. They're they look at people and 18-year-olds and teenagers and even 18-year-olds, we're generally trying to find our way still in society, and we're trying to find out who we are as a man or a woman. What's our inner purpose? What's our character like? And we're impressionable is what I'm trying to say. And then you have all these guys that are just doing an exorbitant amount of time, and they don't have anything to lose because they're not getting out for a quarter century, so they just prey on these people, and it just ruins lives. I've seen 3-year sentences, guys just blown through the system doing 3 years here. I've seen them get attacked, stabbed back, and turn into a 10-year aggravated battery. So instead of 3, they're doing 10. Now it goes, okay, well, I'm doing 10. I don't care about the system anymore. I'm just going to join this gang, and I'm just going to go ape shit. And I'm going to commit crimes. I'm going to do all this. I'm going to bring drugs in an institution. And then the next thing you know, they're doing like another 5 on top of that. Because when you get caught doing stuff in prison, they call it going to jail. So they go to the jail within the prison. It's like the hole. You go to the hole, you get out. You're angry. You're mad at the correctional officers, the COs. You're mad at the system. You're mad at the world. And generally, we don't have any skills to deal with the process to deal with this. How can I make it through? So we just double down on all the bad crap that we were doing. So it's a no-win situation, which sucks. So treatment, and then if that, fails every time, and you become a danger to society, I get it. Okay, penitentiaries are there for a reason. And I'm not anti-punishment. I really am not. But I'm anti-punishment right off the bat. Like, You're a bad.
I'm with you, man.
Yeah. So, anyways, I'm rambling on that, but I'm just
No, we're just getting passionate here, everyone, and enjoying our chat, man. But let's get into some other chat here, man. So what do you do to manage your energy, like physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual? What is some things you do to manage all that there, Beau?
absolutely. Thanks. Great question. So, I'm a big proponent of balance in my life. For years, I had no balance. I try to keep my cup even over. I work with a lot of young guys in sobriety. And so if I'm going to pour from my cup, and this is a little bit generic, but I make sure my cup is like overflowing because I can pour that overflow because I need to have my cup full still, to stay balanced. I'm from the camp of whatever's working for you in your sobriety, stay with it. Whether that's, I don't know, there's a million different ways. My preferred program, I'm a member of Alcoholics Anonymous, and I work a program. I have a sponsor. I work steps. And I absolutely, attribute the saving of my life to that program. And it's not a difficult program. I get up in the morning. I give thanks to, getting out of a nice bed and not a 12 or an 8x12 with cold concrete bars and and stuff like that. And I hit the gym about 5 days a week. I'm a big sports guy. I love hockey. My Bruins are killing it this year, so we'll see. And you're probably going to be mad at me for about that one, but I do like the Leafs.
That's all good. I'm not a Leafs fan, so don't worry.
Oh, are you? Yeah.
No, I'm a Red Wings diehard, buddy.
Oh, you beat us last night, man. You beat the Bruins last night. Yeah, I was a big Steve Yzerman fan of those guys. But
that's who got me into it. I was born in '83, and that's when he came into the league his rookie year.
One of the greatest all-time players of all time. But yeah, so I just stay balanced, man. I make sure I get good sleep. Yeah, I just grew up, man. I just, I go to the gym. I do some speaking engagements. Really, I was talking to a guy last night who was just struggling. And he's like, why can't I quit? And I said, because you put everything in your life before your program, before your recovery. And he says, yeah, but my kids are the most important to me in my life. And he says, and I'm lonely without a girl and this and that. And I said, how is your life turning out right now, man? You drink a box of wine every single day and you shake all day and you go to work and then you call me and say your life's a mess. And I said, you have no balance, my man. And I said, in my experience, every last thing in my life, Chris, that I put in front of my recovery, I'm going to lose. Whether that's my children, my job, we can just go on and on, infinitum. I mean, and I've proven it time and time again. So I make sure that recovery is number one to me. It's more important than my children. It's more important than anything in my life and I say that and some people misconstrue that as what, your children are not the most important thing in your life or this. And I'm like, they are important, they're incredibly important, but I have no life. I have no way to deal with problems when they arise and things like that. So I just live a balanced life. I mean, my recovery is not problem free. My life is not problem free. I ran into a little problem, yesterday, some stuff that would have sent me off the rails, honestly, years ago. And I'm like, this is what it is. What can I do? What's the solution here? Instead of just losing my mind and reacting inappropriately and, would have sent me right to the bar years ago. And, I handled it. It was just a financial issue that I had with down here with the VA hospital and things like that. But it's just the gifts, man, of being able to know how to handle things and respond appropriately instead of just react wildly and inappropriately. And, so it's stuff like that. I just stay balanced. I work out. I'm a huge believer that if we stay in gratitude, Chris, we just can't lose, even through the bad. We just got to learn from our bad and not let the past define us. And so I'm a really positive, grateful guy.
I love that you say balance. Balance is huge, especially like having that work, personal life balance, going to the gym, working out, whatever it is you need to do every day. Just getting outside, even in nature for 20 minutes, just to get that fresh air, that vitamin D from the sunshine, that brisk fresh air in the winter time, anything just to get that blood flowing and stuff like that. Don't coop yourself up. If you have something that you're grateful for, write it down. Tell someone that you're grateful for them. Send someone a message. I love doing that every day. Just sending a couple different people messages all the time, just to say how you're doing. It's nice just to get a how you're doing once in a while.
human connection, Chris, is so important. We live in an age where everything is a text message or an email or and to be able to look somebody in the eye and say, hey, man, how you doing? How's your day? Anything I can do for you? Awesome. Keep it up. Stuff like that. That gives you such a boost of just feel good juice, I mean, that people care about you. And especially somebody new in recovery, man, when they hear that from somebody who's been in recovery, in recovery. Wow, that guy really cares about me. That gives you, that gave me, when I was early in recovery, that gave me a lot of impetus to really work hard on my program and know that I'm valued. And I'm not just the guy who's sitting in the corner hating himself and looking at everybody else and they look so happy and joyous and free and all this and that. And I'm inside, what is going on, So, yeah, I reach out to, I've got a core group of guys, really 3 or 4 guys, honestly. And early mornings we'll occasionally get together or either by phone or by person and then just check in and make sure everything's going good and stay humanly connected. I think it's just so important. And you talked about nature. I ride my bike a ton. I live really close to the Boise River, and it's got what we call the green belt. And it goes for, I think, 50 or 60 miles along the river. Maybe about 90 clicks or so. And I just ride it all the time. And sometimes I ride it at night when the sun's setting. Or very spiritual. I love nature. I do a lot of hiking, things like that. Injuries and back permitting and stuff like that. Yeah, so like I said, I just stay balanced, man. I have to. It's just mandatory.
I love being out in nature, like we just talked about too. Like right around my house, there's so many different trails, like hundreds of kilometers of trails all around where I live here, which is amazing. There's a lake up the road. The river runs right behind my house, pretty much. Nice. A huge park. There's so many different things to do. If you're free too, you don't have to pay for everything. I live right by the golf course too, which I like to walk to, and go out and shoot around once in a while. But yeah, nature's huge for me. Me and my fiance, we love getting out in nature, and I love that my daughter loves getting out in nature. My son loves it too. We go shoot hoops or, just throw the ball around or hit the driving range or whatever it is.
Oh my gosh. It is so important, especially to, that builds such great family time for one, but as individuals, as recovering alcoholics and addicts and things like that, or folks with, mental health issues, I found that exercise, Chris, for me, it was the greatest antidote to my mental health issues. I mean, yes, there are, deeper problems in that, but I think that exercise, lifting weights when I was in the pen actually was a huge thing for me my last term that I did, but just getting out and just walking, like the golf course here, there's a bunch of golf courses obviously here, but there's one right along the river too. And just riding my bike when it's sunny out or even when it's not sunny and looking at the guys like the range or teeing off, or I haven't been able to play for a long time because of my shoulders. They're surgically repaired and I will hopefully again, but I can't tell you just the juice of feel good, I get being out in nature and just love it as opposed to all the other nonsense.
For sure, man. So why is it important to learn how to overcome criticism, Beau?
Yeah, I was a very thin-skinned guy for a lot of years, and my reactions to people criticizing me were not good. Let's just put it that way. They were not good, and
like probably most other addicts and alcoholics.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, there's nothing terminally unique about that, about me or that. We're a touchy group. And I think that, but I'm going to really make this, I'm going to speak from my own experiences here. I grew up in a really rough childhood and a tough family situation and a lot of violence and a lot of abuse. Every single box of abuse you can check off. And so it did a number on the physical stuff I got used to, but the mental stuff really was burned into my head, even into my early 40s. And, I'll be 49 this year. Once I figured out, Chris, that, it doesn't matter what these other people say or think of me because they're just words. I don't have to take them like a gut shot or a dagger to the heart, because if I'm doing what I know that I need to be doing, and if my motives are right, and if I'm doing the best I can, then those words don't mean shit, and that empowered me when I finally figured that out to rise above it, because I've had a lot of criticism because of my background and this and that, of a failed ball player. I mean, people love to take shots at you. once, especially when you start getting better and recovering, the folks that are still stuck in the mud, and I'm not knocking them because I was stuck in the mud for a long time. A lot of them don't like to see you get better, and that's just the cold hard truth of it. Many do, but there's that faction that say, "Oh, okay." Inside, they seethe when they see you getting better. And generally, when I had an issue with somebody else, so I don't let criticism bother me. I'm human. Yes, it's gonna affect us one way or the other, but I guess to a degree, it's just not an issue with me. If somebody wants to say something about me or criticize me, I just let it just blow off, man, because I know who I am today and I feel good about myself. I can look myself in the eye at the end of the day in the mirror. Many years I would look in the mirror and look away because I couldn't look at myself, at night, day, anytime. So I think that criticisms are just words. They don't mean anything if we really truly don't let it get to us. And most of the time, the criticism is unwarranted. When people are criticizing you, they have an issue with themselves, not us.
No, I totally wholeheartedly, believe everything you say and agree with it. It even goes to and true with me. For so many years, I was so defensive because I thought everyone was out to get me. So that's one thing that I'm working on too now. They think everyone's out to get you, but really they're not. Lots of people are there to help you, Chris, or I got to tell myself that every day. When someone just says something to me, even if it's my boss or my partner or a friend, it's not an attack on me because for so many years I thought it was an attack on me because I'm the bad guy and they're all out to get me. But really, no, they're not. They're here to help me. End of the day, not everything they say is an attack or everything. I've had to learn that one the hard way because it's just the way I react. I got to compassion and empathy instead of just defensiveness all the time. And it's still one thing that I'm working on in my character traits. So slowly you get rid of different things through life.
Absolutely, man. When they put me in the dirt, man, I hope I'm still learning. The minute that I think that I have it all figured out, that's the minute you'll see me with a drink in my hand, man. And I don't want to ever do that again. So, and I'm like that too. I was really touchy and I was defensive, and I still am sometimes. And if I sat here and told you, oh, nothing ever gets to me, that'd just be a flat out lie. So, but I'm so much better. I'm so much better at it than I used to be. But like I said, they're just words. I know who I am. They don't mean anything. But I call it the difference between reacting and responding. And I'm more times than not able to respond to things appropriately instead of just reacting. And that defensiveness and touchiness clouded my vision of, yeah, these people actually are trying to help me. They're not, like you said, they're not coming at me. And so, if someone tries to help you, but we misinterpret it and we fly off the handle or take it defensively, maybe they don't want to help us anymore. Or maybe they don't, they don't want to deal with our reactions anymore. So I'm with you 100%.
Yeah, and if something's bothering you today, you can always write it down. You can always talk to someone about it. You know what I mean? Ask questions instead of just flying off the handle like we were just talking about. Write those things down. I find that huge. If something's bothering me, I'll write it down if I have no one to talk to at that point in time.
Yeah.
We all got phones. We all got technology. Write those things in your notes.
I have notes and notes upon notes on paper and also in my phone. And, I've got people to talk to about it and run it through. I've got ways to work my resentments out to where they don't come out sideways on people and things like that. I think there's something magical when pen meets paper that happens because I think it's tangible. We can look at it, we can process it, compartmentalize it bit by bit and be like, oh, okay, this is really not what I thought it was. Or maybe this is fear. It's okay, what am I really scared of? What's the fear here? And then I can write it down and go through the process and okay, well, there's nothing to be fearful about here, and so I think that we're just conditioned to be, like you said, A, defensive, and then B, I think that, for me, Chris, I catastrophize things and went to the worst possible outcome ever, like right off the bat. And for years, and that just kind of set me sideways. And I've learned not to do that nearly as much, Human being, yeah, sometimes still. But work in progress, man.
For sure, man. For sure. And I used to do the same thing, like get the hamster running upstairs there and think the worst thing possible when really I made it out to be way worse than it really was. And or just any situation, it doesn't matter what it was. I would blow it way out of proportion. And I have this huge concocted story in my head and this is what's going to happen, and this is going to happen, but really none of that actually happened.
And we look back on it, like you said, we look back on it like, that didn't happen. Cool. Why was I all freaked out?
Yeah.
Good stuff.
So if you feel yourself faltering, how do you get yourself back on track, Beau?
Yeah, I have a good support network. I go to a meeting every day. I got a great sponsor. Like I said, that's my program of recovery. I have a relationship with a higher power, absolutely. And I really was one in my past I did not believe in a power greater than myself, but I did. I just was like ambivalent in the middle. I have a real strong relationship with a higher power, with my higher power that I've developed through working my program, taking leaps of faith and seeing that things can come true. So when I feel like I'm getting a little sideways, my ass is falling off, so to speak, I'll talk to somebody about it. I'll talk to somebody in recovery about it. I'll get to a meeting. I'll talk to my sister, and my sister's not in recovery or anything, but she's my best friend, though. She's an angel to me. And I just reach out, because if I become an introvert and if I say oh man, I'm falling and I'm slipping. I used to be like, okay, this is terrible. This is going to end awful. I'm going to the store and I'm going to get a bunch of beers and wine and whiskey and all this stuff. And I'm just going to go hole up in my little apartment and just drink till I can't drink anymore. And then I wake up in the morning and my hands are shaking and I have to eat a bunch of pills and smoke some meth to get up, and then, and then drink all day, and then it just spirals from there. So I'm a big advocate of reaching out. I've got a core circle of friends that are in recovery that I spend time with, but I've also got a big web of guys that, that help me and I help them too. So the phone used to feel real heavy. Now it's just pick that thing up and call, and I don't text. I don't say, hey, I'm having a problem. Can you text me back, man? I get on the phone and say, hey, can we talk about some things, And I need that human connection, because if I isolate Chris and if I try to take care of my problems on my own, I proved for 40 years that I just fall flat on my face. So I've got to stay connected, definitely. And
I love that you say that too.
But truly, yeah. Well, I was just going to say the opposite. Addiction it's connection and community. And I don't think that we can really battle this on our own. I think that, the whole spectrum of mental health and addiction and alcoholism and everything that encompasses that, I think that we need all the support we can get, to stay balanced. And we're going to have tough times. We're going to have problems in life. Life is always going to present itself. Life is going to be life, So that's the way I deal with it, is staying connected.
100%, man. Connection is huge, whether it's staying connected with your higher power, staying connected with your core group of friends, reaching out when you need help. Don't, be afraid to reach out. I tell everyone these days, even if no question is a stupid question to me, or even if you just need to let loose and just vent to someone, I'm always here. I tell people as well. The phone used to be heavy for myself too. I only knew how to pick it up and call the drug dealer, to be quite honest. Other than that, I didn't know any other numbers, but over time, it became much easier for myself, especially with my profession in sales.
Guys and gals, men and women that are in recovery, I think it's incumbent upon us to reach our hands out or just say, I'm available for you. You need to call, you need to talk. I'll pick up. And then once we do that for other people, it became easier for me to ask for that help for other people too, because I can't be the guy that says, sure, I'll help you, I'll listen to you, I'll give you an ear. I'll pick up, call me if you're having problems. And then I can't just sit on the other side when I'm having problems and just go into a shell. It's got to be a two-way thing. So my actions have to match my words 100%. And I do the best I can today with that, stay connected.
No, and you have to stay connected. I really emphasize that, everyone. You stay connected. Your true friends. I can count on one hand my true friends today, and there isn't many of them. And I keep that circle small, really small.
Absolutely.
It is not a big circle anymore. It's hard to break into Chris's circle these days, and I do that for a reason.
Okay, man, that's so cool. And we don't need. I used to be the most insecure guy growing up, and I had for whatever reasons, and I thought I needed a million friends, and this and that. The times that I went to the jail, the times that I went to the pen, how many guys were around for me?
Zero.
Zero. My sister, and that's it. Had a buddy who stayed in contact, but it's like you find out who your true friends are. And I've got maybe 3 or 4 true good friends. A couple of them are out of state. Then I've got a bunch of acquaintances. But like you said, Chris, I don't need any more as far as guys that I can count on and guys, okay, that's plenty for me. So I'm all about relationships, building good relationships. I think life is about relationships, but
it is, whether it's friendships, relationships with an intimate partner, relationships with your kids, your parents. It's been a journey and an amazing one, just building these relationships back up that I had destroyed right down to the ground to rubble pretty much.
I had a guy, he passed away a few years ago, and he went to the Naval Academy in the U.S. He's a Vietnam veteran, and he was a Marine, United States Marine, decorated. And he told me one time, he said, life is not, people are not going to remember you. And this was a man who had a lot of wealth too. He was a businessman and yada, yada. But he said, people are not going to remember you for what you drove or how many zeros were in your bank account or what kind of clothes you wore or what you look like. They're going to remember you for a couple things, really 2 things. A, how you treated people. And B, they're going to remember you for the relationships that you cultivated. And that, and he's passed years ago, and I always remember that, Chris. It's like how I treat people and the relationships that I've cultivated with people. And the relationships, like you were saying, the ones that we burnt down to rubble, they have come back to me in spades, man. My daughter, my mom, my people that said, Dad, I never want to see you as long as I live ever again. The broken promises, and going away, all this stuff. They're my best friends in the world now, So miracles, it sounds like, in your own life.
I know, and I do feel those miracles happening slowly. The gifts of recovery get given back to you if you give back. I love to give what so freely was given to me today, whether it's in my work life, personal life, the guy walking down the street that just needs to hear a, hey, how are you today? It doesn't matter if they're out there struggling. Go out and say hi to someone. Do something, kind for someone today. Whether it's buying them a quick little small coffee or a medium coffee or something from the coffee shop walking by. Help them out.
Even smiling at somebody who looks down or just saying hello to a stranger. I know, this is generic stuff, but it's really true because you never know what someone's going through. It doesn't matter what they look like or, what color they are. Mental health and addiction and these kind of challenges, they're not proprietary to one type of person. I mean, rich, poor, in the middle, black, white, green, yellow. We're all, none of us are immune to it. And so you never know. So I just try to smile at people. And a lot of times they won't. Most people will smile back. But if they don't, I'm just like, all right. I ride my bike a lot around the city and stuff. And you're right, though, man. Just don't stop by. I see there's a lot of homeless here. And I'll stop and, and say, hey, can I get you some or this and that? Or spot them a few bucks if I have a few bucks on me. And it's just a good way to live because I'm taking care of my own side of the street. And I know that doing good stuff, for folks is going to come back too. So
for sure. Before we go, I got one last question though, man. Do the simple things become complexities when we try to attain perfection?
Absolutely, man. 100%. I'm not sure. I think that's the answer you were looking for. I agree with me, but man, there's a quote from the movie Tin Cup, and I'm not sure if you've ever seen it with Kevin Costner. It's just and Cheech Marin. It's one of the greatest golf movies of all time. It says, and he's talking about the golf swing. And get a chance to look it up. YouTube, The Golf Swing by Roy McAvoy. It's in Tin Cup. But one of the lines he says in there is, perfection is unattainable. And the strive for perfection in my athletic career, in my life, and all this stuff over the years, the strive for perfection for me working a program of recovery always landed one place, Chris, and that was flat on my face, straight up. So when I learned that, I'm just like, Chris, I'm just like the guy down the street. I'm one up, man, and I'm fallible and I'm going to make mistakes, but it's, what do I do with those mistakes? Can I flip the script and take something positive from them and not let that past, define who I am? because one of the greatest things that I've learned today, and I've learned this for years now, is that I'm gonna make mistakes, I'm gonna fall down, but it's what I do with them, and I never attain or strive for perfection because you know what, I'm never gonna hit it. And so I'm setting myself up for failure 100% of the time, man, just flat out. I think that I say we in this community of recovery, and also myself, if I can strive to do the best that I can be on this particular day, that's
Yeah, be 1% better than the day before, and you're doing great today. Before we go, where can everyone find you on social medias and stuff if they'd like to reach out, follow your story? Beau, where can they find you?
yeah, you bet. I go by the handle Sober Beau, so at Sober Beau on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. I've got some good speaking events coming up. I want to talk just real briefly, if I could, a conference in Atlanta.
No worries.
That I'm speaking at in July. It's called Athletes Unite, and it's a really big conference about mental health and how it affects athletes, veterans as we progress out of our athletic endeavors and out of maybe our military endeavors. And okay, what's our identity now? Because we've just known, people have known us by that. There's a lot of that. There's a lot of businessmen and women, a lot of entrepreneurs. It's really good. There's a lot of it's a big emphasis on minorities and helping them find, tech jobs, which is very difficult depending on one's upbringing and things like that. So it's going to be a great deal, and it's going to be in Atlanta, July 15th and 16th. And I'm really honored and grateful to be able to speak in front of a lot of these folks. So you can find me on there. So there's several shows I've done and this and that. So it's going to be a good year. I've got a book coming out called From Pain to Purpose. And that'll probably be on Amazon late July. So I'm excited about that. I'm involved with a good group of guys with that. So, just looking forward to helping as many people as I can. And in turn, when I do that, man, it keeps me accountable and helps myself too. So.
Well, thank you again for coming on the show, Beau. I truly appreciate you taking the time. And if there's one thing I could take away from today was having balance in your life, everyone. Make sure you have that balance, because if not, you're going to fall off very quick. So thank you again, Beau, for coming on the show today.
Yeah, Chris, my pleasure, man. And we'll keep in touch.
Thank you.
All right.